Oops. All right. Welcome everyone to this Q&A again. Want to welcome everyone to this Q&A. So I guess hot topic which is going on right now is obviously what's going on here and potentially around the world without getting into without getting too much into politics. There's an obvious question: what are we supposed to think, and what are we really supposed to do? So, it's kind of interesting that, Israel did knock out, number two man in Hezbollah, and knocked out the political head, quote unquote, of Hamas. So obviously, seemingly going to be repercussions. And it's kind of ironic. So, okay, they're planning or whatever, and Israel saying, okay, we're ready, this, that, and whatever's going to be. So not necessarily, I would say, the greatest position to be in, but it's like, okay, you got a sealed room, you prepare for that, make sure you got food in there, other things, and who knows what they could do, what they will do. They do have 150,000 missiles that can pretty much hit anywhere. So, that's an issue. That for sure is an issue. But the question is, how are we supposed to react, right? What do we, what should we be thinking during this time? So my Rabbi made a statement the end of last week and made I would say, a clarifying statement, because, people got, totally scared out of their wits about what he said. So I'll just read what he said, what he clarified, and then, then we'll see what it is. So first of all, he said that we're going through a very difficult period, right? Not only up in the north, the whole country, pretty much in danger. Even religious population centers are at risk. So he says we have to hope for the best. Basically, hope for the best, expect the worst. Not in any situation. And not going to get any easier, right? So he says it's not going to get any easier. Therefore, the only preparation you can make is become closer to Hashem. Every second we stand before him, right, is important. Therefore, now it's time to keep mitzvahs, grab another minute and another minute to do mitzvahs. It's a matter of days, not weeks. Future of the Jewish population, Eretz Israel and Yerushalayim in Jerusalem, is being decided at the moment. We're not allowed to talk with our mouths, but what our enemies would like to do to us, right? We say, Al tiftach peh, you don't open your mouth to the Satan, the evil inclination, the angel of death, whatever you want to call him. If only they could. They're no longer embarrassed or afraid of anything. Killing a young child, never been a time like this for them. It's a religious commandment to wipe out Jewish people. They have no mercy on anybody, especially since they use human shields, right? As Hamas does. That's what I put in here. They're no longer embarrassed or afraid of anything, as we said. For them, it's a religious commandment to wipe out all Jewish people. They have no mercy on anyone. Shem should help us. But we have to grab more mitzvahs and good deeds. Politicians rely on their might of their own hands, but it's the Almighty who provides the power and ability. It's only up to Hashem, and we can only rely on Him with mitzvahs and good deeds. Gan Eden is open for us. On the other hand, Hashem meets our punishment sometimes after a minute, sometimes several years later. So everything's written down. May Hashem have mercy on us. Everyone should get up on time, pray a lot, pray with concentration. May we merit coming the Mashiach of the Messiah in the period following. It's coming quickly. That's what he said. That's what he said on Friday. Whatever, analyze what he said in a second. But then he, I guess a lot of people contacted him and pretty much scared a lot of people. So a few days ago, he said, I didn't intend send any more messages, but apparently his statements last Friday sowed panic amongst some people. In addition, since people have tendency to stress is sensational, especially in the media, they may be reading Messianic connotations into those statements. So the atmosphere in his house, currently neither one of fear nor one of excitement. And for those overseas, religious people in general are relaxed here in the land of Israel. The last thing Rav Sternbuch intended was to instill unproductive fear into people's hearts. You should see War and Redemption, about the topic in general. He speaks about that, about all the things he said about what was going to happen before and after what happened on October 7th. He merely wished to convey the message that people should be utilizing the quiet time we're experiencing at the moment to get closer to Hashem by praying, learning, refraining from Lashon Hara, and so on. So he said people should hope for the best, but just in case things become less quiet, when it may become more challenging to maintain a peace of mind, person should focus now on one's devoted to Hashem, on one's service to God, which in any way is the order of the day, right? We have to do that anyway. And now that we're going to the month of Av, right? We just started the month of Av, which, and also just 1 month away from Elul, right? Which preparation for Rosh Hashanah. So he said in situations like this, one has to focus on Hashem's love for his nation and remember which is an individual part of him, and on deep gratitude for our continued miraculous existence in this country, right? In Israel, surrounded as we are by bloodthirsty enemies. So we're supposed to focus on judging others favorably. And Rostrom recently mentioned how much Hashem yearns for us to do this, i.e. when we're obligated to judge them favorably. And to beseech Hashem to focus on all the right things that his nation is doing and all those merits. Again, not the negative, right? On the positive. And that these merits should be effective for every member of his nation so that we may witness miracles as we did the last time Paras, i.e. Iran, tried to harm us just 4 months ago. So that's what he said, I think, on Sunday as a response to what people said he said on Friday. So let's just analyze a drop, about what he said. Just see what he said over here. So the first thing is that we're going through a difficult period. That is definitely true. It's no question. But again, he was saying that it's a difficult period in Israel everywhere, right? It's everywhere. Not just, not just in the north, right? It's everywhere. The whole country is in danger. And he said that you got to hope for the best and expect the worst. Now, can't rely on miracles, right? Eretz Israel, land of Israel, does function, definitely true on miracles, but nonetheless, according to nature, anything can happen here, right? Anything is definitely possible, and seemingly they have Hezbollah themselves much more dangerous than Hamas. Everything relative, but they're definitely much more dangerous. They have 150,000 missiles, and some of them pinpoint accuracy. So they can hit anywhere. Right now, they've been focusing up north, trying to hit things up north or whatever. But in general, these missiles, could hit Tel Aviv, could hit Haifa, God forbid, could hit Jerusalem, anywhere else. Right? That's the capability. So he basically said you have to hope for the best, and expect the worst, because we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be. The last time 4 months ago was an absolute miracle. Then I don't think there's any question. 300 missiles and drones, and you had 2 systems working together for the first time, knocked them all out. right? It was pretty, I mean, I don't know, no matter how you slice it, that's like, the chances of that are pretty much zero. Even, people in in the army, whatever, said, okay, maybe we can knock out a third. Maybe we'll knock out 100, knock out 300, knock out every single one of them. So basically, the only preparation, he said, was that we have to become closer to God. We have to work harder on ourselves. Yeah, so he says every second we're working on that, we're standing before God, it's crucial, right? Every second we do mitzvahs, it's crucial, has power to offset, God forbid, bad decrees. So now is the time to keep mitzvahs, grab another minutes, right? Learn more intensely. Yeah. Do whatever you can, in Torah mitzvahs, anything you can do in the merits, for the land of Israel, for the people in Israel. So he also said it's a matter of days, it's a matter of days, not weeks. So in other words, basically, anything right now is imminent. Some say it should have happened, something should have happened over Shabbos, some say last night, whatever. It's kind of an uncanny position, to be in, because normally you would say, if you're going to be attacked, what would you do? You go on the offensive. Yeah, so okay. So they knocked out, two people that, better world without them, no question. Second in command is Hezbollah and quote unquote political head of Hamas living in Qatar, but knocked them off in Iran. So they're going to retaliate. I like that. They made pretty clear. And nobody really thinks they're bluffing here. So that's a question of when. Are they going to wait 2 weeks and this and whatever? No. So he says you got to hop around. You got to, do as many mitzvahs as you can, right? As a, as potential salvation. There's nothing else to do, right? You draw yourself close to God. You grab as many mitzvahs as you can. So he said the future of the Jewish population, I guess it's probably what scared people also, is the fact that the future of the Jewish population in the land of Israel and in Jerusalem being decided right now. Yeah, it's a huge thing. I mean, Israel is the biggest Jewish population right now, in the world. And no question about it, they're under attack, right? Under attack from the south, attack from the north. All right, it's a dangerous situation no matter how you slice it. It could be in the country itself, even, with missiles, without missiles, they got, unfortunately, they got plenty of people to carry out their will, willing to die for nothing. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter who they kill. It's not about, taking on the army, right? They kill men, women, children, right? To them, it doesn't matter, right? So for them, as he said, it's a religious command to wipe out anybody, right? To totally wipe out anyone. So we shouldn't, so one of the things he said also was we shouldn't talk with our mouths about what our enemies would like to do. Yeah, we don't give them any ideas. Bring it out, into the world. They probably have plenty of ideas, what they want. And all of them is all based on the same thing. That Jews should die, right? Pretty clear, right? That is pretty clear. So he says there's never been a time like this. And for them, people have to understand it's a, it's a religious command to wipe out the Jewish people. Not just people don't believe in Islam. Yeah, that's another issue, right? But there's a mitzvah for them, right? A big mitzvah for them to wipe out Jews in general, right? Part of their, I don't know, whatever. That's part of what that's part of what they do. That's part of what their goal is. Let's say better. So again, for them, it's a religious command. They have no mercy on anybody, right? They'll use human shields, right? They'll kill their own people or put their own people in danger. They could care less, right? So God should have mercy on all of us, but we have to grab more mitzvahs and good deeds. Politicians rely on their might, right? The strength of their own hands, but it's God who provides the power and ability. So again, what's our choice over here? We have no choice. We're not relying on politicians, right? We're not relying on the power of the army. I mean, you want to say it's the strongest, it's the strongest army in the Middle East, the most powerful and this and that. Well, that got shattered October 7th. No question about it. But here you have, the most powerful army, let's say, in this region. Got nuclear weapons, don't tell anyone, but they got nuclear weapons. And they're at the mercy waiting how they're going to counterattack. I mean, how stupid does that sound? It sounds pretty stupid. Yeah. I was talking to someone earlier, and they were asking me like, what's going on? What's going on there? I'm like, well, we're just waiting to be attacked. You ever hear such a thing? You got a very powerful army, most powerful army in the Middle East, right? Hamas are not warriors like Hezbollah is, for sure not. And look what happened. But you're waiting. You know what that does to the psyche of a person? You have no idea. Siren go up. Where are you going to be? Where you're supposed to be. People have to work. You have to live. Like, what are you supposed to do? Even if you're not necessarily in the line of fire, they can hit anywhere. They can sure hit anywhere. So I told somebody as well, we're waiting to be attacked. That's unheard of. Waiting to be attacked? That's all you can do. But your mind plays games. Did I hear a siren? Didn't I hear a siren? I mean, whatever, it's unnerving. Right? But politicians, he said, rely on the might of their hands. But we know God provides the power. We know who provides the power. It's God himself. It's only up to God. We only rely on him. Right? That's the main point here. We only rely on him. The power of our mitzvahs here. Power of our prayers. Right? So with these mitzvahs and good deeds, Garden of Eden is open for us. On the other hand, right, they already got doom and gloom here. What's the other hand over here? He says Hashem's going to mete out punishment sometimes after a minute, sometimes several years later. Everything's written down. Now, make no mistake. October 7th was written down. Written down before Rosh Hashanah. The decree was made on Rosh Hashanah, let's say. As we mentioned many times, what happened October 7th was decreed. Now, desecration of Shabbos, desecration of the festival, of Buddha there, yeah, that didn't help. Make no mistake, that didn't help. But nobody, my Rabbi included, nobody's saying that's the reason. Can't be the reason because it was already decreed. So he says, everything's written down. Hashem metes out punishment. Maybe after a minute, maybe after several years. God should have mercy on us. Everyone should get up on time. Everyone should pray a lot. Pray with concentration. Then we should merit coming of Mashiach. Now, he says that many times. And, many besides him have said we're, very close to the Messiah coming. I was telling someone today. I was telling someone earlier that, this is what's supposed to be. Okay, let's do it. Let's end the exile. Let's bring the Messiah. Very good. Yeah, we got to survive it also. But he said you can only rely on God. They want to make sure people didn't, take what he said out of context. No, she's coming right now. You're not saying that. He said, maybe we merit it. Okay. So politicians, first of all, what's he telling you? You got to rely on Hashem. There's no one else to rely on. Right? That's clear. That's the message we also received by the Holocaust. Right? You can't rely on men. right? People say, where was God during the Holocaust? Right? Why did God kill 6 million people? So it takes a lot of people to kill 6 million people. You have the Poles, Latvians, Croatians, Russians, Germans, right? Hungarians, a lot of people. A lot of people kill people. But the question is not where God was, where was man? Yeah. You don't rely on man. That's the point. And this, I think, people can see clear as day. Because what's to stop? I mentioned this many times. I'll go to what he said afterwards. What he said yesterday or Monday or Sunday. But, mentioned many times, what is to stop 22 nations around us coming to march? To send as many people they can to fight against Israel. What's stopping them? You can say, come on, a lot of people die, whatever, but the sheer numbers. There are 22 Arab states, one Jewish state. Right? How many Jews live in Israel? More than 6.5 million. Yeah. How many of them could go out and fight? Less than half? Third? Sheer numbers. I'm not talking about rockets and all that. Sheer numbers. No Arab should, who hate Jews should be listening to this. Yeah, what in the world is there to stop them from just marching and just massacring people? And how much could you stop it? And so what's the answer? God. That's the answer. That's the only thing that makes any sense. Because according to nature, that could happen. Yeah, and they don't really care how many of their people die. They just want to kill Jews. Right? So he's saying you got to take the bull by the horn. You got to pray. You got to pray on time, right? He's telling Jews this, right? When that's applied to non-Jews, right? But you got to pray. You got to pray with more fervor. You got to pray with everything you got. That's the weapon. It's not the army. They should have success, but, saying over Shabbos that when, so it's brought down by Biederman should be well. So others say a similar thing. I mean, Rajash brings down also that when, Jews went to war, they had people with them in the same place, praying for them, learning for them. Not just by the sidelines where it was safe. They went with them. Went with them to war. So I heard someone say, maybe we should do that. With the army there, wherever they are. You should have a certain number of people there with them, learning, praying. Right? Obviously, they have to be protected, right? We're not going to do that. It's not going to happen, right? At least not according to nature. But, in general, that's the power. The power is learning. The power is prayer. That's the weapon we have. All right, you need a standing army. You need to thwart this, and it's going to be done according to nature. Even though God's hiddenness is within hiddenness. And we saw a few months ago, right, 300 missiles and drones get knocked off. So yeah, people can say it's an open miracle, yeah. I mean, the army couldn't explain it. Right? Anyone in America couldn't explain it. So that's our weapon. That's what we got to do. Take on more mitzvahs, do more things. One of the things, he said, right, and we'll go through that also, is judge others favorably when you're obligated. Yeah, there are people you don't have to. If they sin, in general, and you find them in a compromising position, they're sinners, they don't care. I don't have to judge them favorably. But someone who keeps Torah mitzvahs, that's what we're talking about. Your average person that keeps Torah mitzvahs, even if it looks bad, whatever they've done, you got to judge them favorably. The mitzvah to judge them favorably. Now, so that's what he said. That's what he said on Friday. Just gave a little bit of spin on what he said. Right? Then at the end, he said, may we merit the coming of Mashiach in the period following his coming quickly. Now, some people could have taken that to say, okay, he's saying Messiah's going to come right now. But he said this many times. And a lot of his sermons. So people want to read into it and say, oh, he's saying the Messiah is coming. He's not saying that. They say, maybe we married, he's coming. Everyone agrees. He's knocking on the door. I think that's pretty clear, right? The fact that he hasn't come yet, okay, but, people shouldn't necessarily read into that. So then he responded because a lot of people contacted him and, are like scared out of their wits what he said, right? So first of all, he apologized, not, he didn't want to send anyone, into panic, so to speak. And not only that, but people want to say, oh, see, he's telling you the Messiah is going to come right now. Again, he didn't say that, right? They intimated that. They, read into it, but he didn't say that. So the other thing he mentions there is the fact that, he's going along, which see a lot of people doing the same thing. They might, be a little more afraid or whatever, but basically you go according, to normal business. You do what you need to do, right? So he says there's no, his house isn't full of fear, nor of excitement. Somebody asked him, and I think this probably would have scared people also because it got out there in the world, and that is that he said, somebody had asked him, should you leave? If you're visiting Israel, let's say, I don't know, you're a yeshiva student living here, for the year, or you're going to be here for another year, whatever it is, right? Should you leave? So he said, not yet. Now that also scared people. Yeah, because seemingly, what do you read into that? Well, right now it's okay. Soon it might not be okay. Right? Soon it might be much more scarier. Right? That's you could read into that. Other people coming to visit. He said people could come visit. He didn't say it's not a time to come visit, not a time to come visit. Right? But in his house, there's nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah. So he wanted to convey the message that people should be using this quiet time, right now when it's quiet, hopefully, should stay quiet, to get closer to God, pray, learn, don't speak Lashon Hara, right? Work on that, work on more mitzvahs to the best of your ability. Get closer to God. He said you should hope for the best, but just in case, hopefully nothing will happen. Hopefully, diplomacy will rule. Hard to imagine, but let's say diplomacy will rule. There won't be anything to happen. Good. Everyone goes according to their, whatever they need to do. Okay. But he said, if not, but just in case things become less quiet. Right? Obviously, if things going on, you're praying with a lot more fervor. But he's saying you got to pray anyway with a lot more fervor. You mentioned last week, and I spoke about this, in Pirkei Avos, about someone going up on the Temple Mount. That is a provocation. That's putting Jewish life in danger. Right? So he says the challenge is what? Is to maintain. Challenge is to maintain an equilibrium. Right? They shouldn't be panicking. God doesn't want a person to be afraid. Right? So the idea is what a person should be doing, is to focus on what's the most important thing to focus on. Your vote is Hashem. Service to God. That is what the focus should be on. Serving God. And that should be the order of the day anyway. That's our obligation anyway. But not only that, we go into the month of Av. A lot of tragedies happen in the month of Av, so it's a time of tragedy in general. But you go into the month of Av, next week is going to be the fast of 9th of Av. 2.5 weeks later after that, where people will be on intercession. And on vacation, and that is what's 2.5 weeks later, Elul, month before Rosh Hashanah. So he said, good time to start thinking about these things now, right? You got to think of Avodas Hashem anyway. Serving God, we got an obligation to think about, right? No question. So you want to do as much as you can, right? In the merit, that situation should calm down. So another thing he mentions, which is also very important here, is the person has to focus on God's love for his nation. Now remember, there's reward and punishment. That's clear. But God has tremendous love for his nation. And each person, that's why I got to man up here, because each person is a member of an indivisible part of God. God breathed in the spirit of life. Everyone is created in God's image. Everyone has part of godliness in them. Everybody. So therefore, what should we be thinking on a regular basis? Not only God's love for us, but the miraculous existence of the Jewish people and the land of Israel in general. Yeah? Because we're surrounded by bloodthirsty enemies that want to destroy us, no question. Right? So it's only by the grace of God we're here. And we're still here. So he said we're supposed to focus on judging others favorably. And that God really yearns for that. That's what the Rav said. That God really wants us to judge people favorably when we have an obligation to. And we should beseech Hashem, pray with all our might to focus on all the right things his nation's doing. Not the negative. Very easy to focus on the negative. Very, very easy. For a year and a half, before October 7th, you had people, protesting the streets day and night, against judicial reform. Still going to protest after all this also, right? Made a major split in the Jewish people. Major, major split. Unfortunately, it took a war and a lot of people to die in a really gruesome manner to draw people together. That's what happened. Essentially, that's what happened. How long it's going to continue? Yeah, that's a good question. But, it's easy to focus on the negative. Very, very easy. So we should beseech God, says Rav Sternbuch on that, on all the right things the Jewish people are doing, because there's a lot of good the Jewish people are doing. Tremendous amount of good, not just the negative. It's easy to focus on the negative. Right? But he had to focus on the negative last week because some idiot goes up on the Temple Mount saying we have a right to go up there, and that's a huge provocation that I spoke about. Right? So if we realize and focus on the positive and go in the way that he wants us to go, then we should have the merit to witness miracles as we did the last time when Iran tried to harm us. Right? So that's pretty much what he said. A little bit of my spin on that. Let's see if there are any, I'll mention one other thing. Just mention one other thing, and that is that people think, well, I'm not in Israel. What can I do? And the answer is, you can pray, you can learn, in the merit that, we should be saved here. But it's not safe anywhere. Someone asked me, someone texted me earlier, and it said, would I consider leaving? Right, I didn't go through a whole, my answer was nope. But I didn't go through a whole thing. Why? I'll just say that I don't think it's safe anywhere. Not safe anywhere. You're an Orthodox Jew, you're a target anywhere. After October 7th, what do you see? People want to annihilate you. From the river to the sea. That's what it means. Pretty simple. So you got no one to rely on except God himself. They think it's going to be safe anywhere else, right? Even in the last exile of America, ain't going to be safe there. But no, people aren't coming here. They ain't coming here to live. They're packing pieces. They're, arming themselves. Okay. So for whatever reason, people aren't coming. Even if they have legitimate reasons, let's say. Yeah, but what's the bottom line? The bottom line is not safe anywhere. People say, oh, but it's worse there because you're going to get attacked there first or whatever. Safest place to be is in Jerusalem. That's the safest place. But again, unfortunately, if the character trait of justice overrules, then we're in trouble. We're in serious trouble because God can mete out punishment any time for something that was done a week ago, a year ago, 5 months ago, whatever. So he's saying utilize the time now while it's quiet. And hopefully that'll have an influence to stay quiet. But if not, Yeah, you got to pray. That's what you got to do. Right? You got to pray. You got to learn better. A person can say, "Oh, my mitzvahs don't mean anything." Not true. Definitely not true. You got to work hard, but we have to be introspective here. We're in a serious, dangerous time. Been in a dangerous time since October 7th. But even before that, anti-Semitism was on the rise. Right? I mean, it's not like it's gone down. Right? Okay, it went up exponentially afterwards. I get it, but in general, we haven't been in a good situation in a long time. Here in Israel. So we got to work hard, but this is good preparation for our service to God, which we have to do anyway. And that's going to go into, our preparation for preparation for Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. It's sad. You need this to happen to draw people together, right? And B, to have this fervor, because it's about survival. 100% about survival. Yeah, nothing short of that. 150,000 missiles. What's the goal of each missile? Destruction. If they could, they take over this country, kill every single person. Not in a good way. We're living here by miracles. But we're in a dangerous situation, tremendously dangerous situation. But one thing you see also, beyond the shadow of a doubt, is the fact that with the army and the strength and all that, they got to wait. They got to wait for something to happen. Then they're going to react. Yeah, I understand. They're not going to go into Lebanon. They're not going to send ground troops in there, and try and stop it. They're not going to do that yet. Might have to, but they're not doing that yet. And they're a much more formidable foe. So this has to, they got to take care of business. 100%. Finish off Hamas, but really finish them off. You don't finish them off, then, as I heard someone say earlier, you get all those communities in the South gone. They're not living there. That means they won. You got 80,000 people up north not living in their homes because they're getting shelled. So it makes them look not so powerful, does it? The mighty army, you need an army. Not saying not. For sure you need an army. Right? But you need that divine protection with people learning and praying. That's what you need. You need that as well. But like I said to someone tongue in cheek, not so funny. But yeah, we're just waiting to be attacked. What do you mean waiting to be attacked? Why isn't the army going in there and taking care of business? The most powerful army in the Middle East. You have to sit there and wait till you're going to react? Man, kind of crazy. You think about it, the parable I always give, imagine this is Mexico and Texas. You think, Mexico's getting ready to attack. You think America for 1 second is going to say, we're going to wait and then we're going to react? I don't think so. They're going to flatten Mexico like a pancake. No more Taco Bells and no more burritos. It's over. It's over. There wouldn't be any question. Israel's different. A crazy thing. Anyway, yeah. Let me see. Any questions here? 1 second here. Someone says, okay, we're going to go on a conversion here. But one second. Let me just check one thing here. Whoops. All right. All right. If a person converts, right, gets married, he then has the surname Ben Avram, right? He'll be the son of Avram or Bas Avram. A woman would be Bas Avram. Very good. Okay, so what's the question? Ben Avram will his wife have this legal surname? No, she'll be Bas Avram. But she doesn't have to change. I mean, whatever her name, change her first name, right? Whatever, give yourself a Hebrew name. But you'll always be known as Ben Avram or Bas Avram. Yeah. How's that work legally? Again, if a person wants to change, you're not going to change your name to Ben Avram. I've had people, give consider changing the name to a Jewish name, Jewish surname. You don't have to. No obligation. A first name's a different issue. First name, a person should have a first name. So the only relevance it'll have, certainly for a guy, is being called to the Torah, right? It'll be called whatever his first name is. Let's say it goes by the name of Moshe, right? So say Moshe ben Avram, be called to the Torah. For a woman, she's not going to be called to the Torah, right? At least not by us, right? So if her name was Abigail, let's say she called herself Abigail, yeah, she'll be known as Abigail bat Sarah. For what? She gets married. She'll be known as that. And when she dies, like that's it. But changing your name to Ben Avram, no. You can keep your last name. You wouldn't change it to Ben Avram in general. I've had people say maybe I should have a Jewish sounding last name. Schwartz, Krasinski, I don't know, whatever. Change your last name. You could. You don't have an obligation to. Right? First name, you should have a Jewish first name. That's for sure. So the spouse of a convert, same thing. She's not going to be Ben Avram. She'll be Bas Avram. She will be Bas, the daughter of Abraham, not Ben. Right? Because Ben is for a guy. Bas is for a girl. 1 second. Let me see. Whoops. 1 second. Someone says, I'm not converting. I'm Bas Tshuva. Okay. Don't know halacha, having difficulty finding help in the communities where I live. Okay, you can contact me. I can probably help you with that. You can contact me, Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. At gmail.com. Contact me there. I'll get back to you on that. I'm going to do aliyah to Israel. Contact the Jewish agency. Contact the Jewish agency. But if you're not Jewish, it's going to be a problem, right? You won't be able to come. You can come live here, I guess, but that'd be a lot more complicated. I would say if you wanted to come and make aliyah, contact Nefesh be Nefesh. Contact them, see what they tell you. Somebody says, what does it mean all humans have a part of God in them? Is not God only one and sheds his glory with no body? He's not in a body. God breathed in the spirit of life. What does that mean? It means he gave you a soul, right? Isn't the soul part of him? There's 600,000 souls at Mount Sinai, right? Aren't they part of him? Right? There's no Kabbalah, basically, but God, God's not physical or spiritual. We describe him as spiritual, but he can't be spiritual. Right? You have to read the beginning of Duties of the Heart, get in this whole discussion, which a lot of people don't learn because it's kind of hard to, go through. Right? We say God is one, right? But there's a spark of God in everybody. Yeah, again, this is Kabbalah. It's not a contradiction. We have a spiritual soul. Where does the spiritual soul come from? It comes from underneath the Kisei Kavod, underneath the heavenly throne, let's say. Right? That's how we're translated. Right? But we're all made in God's image. Does God have an image? God doesn't have an image. Doesn't have a physical image, last time I checked. God's not physical. So what does that mean? Yeah, these are good questions. But simple answer is that there's a part of him in us, part of his spiritual side that we can attach to him. That's what it means. That's what I would say that it means. Should a person try to counter anti-Semites' misinformation? You can. Yeah. It is ironic that, as much information that gets out there to answer these idiots, they don't get it. They're just not listening. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try and do it, but there's real information out there that can prove these people wrong. Like I was just listening earlier, someone had said, millions of Muslims were killed in Sudan. want to get rid of them. That's called annihilation, right? That is called, that's annihilating other people. You want them off the face of the map. From 1967 till today, the West Bank under Jewish control, under Israeli control, the Arabs have multiplied tremendously. So I meant annihilation, I meant genocide. Yeah, so millions of people got killed. That's genocide. They want to get rid of a whole group. If a population grows significantly over however many years, how can, by definition, any definition you want, how could you call that genocide? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, people are just stupid. There's no other way to say it. And quote unquote, the smarter they are, the better university they go to, the more morally decrepit they are. Because they're going to claim from the river to the sea. That's genocide. And the Israeli army has been so careful not to kill human shields. But whose responsibility is that? According to international law, right? According to international law, if you hide behind human shields and civilians die, whose fault is that? That's their fault. You want to say, oh, we're guilty. Let's say some innocent people, quote unquote, get killed. Okay. They're using them as human shields. Under international law, who's liable? They are. According to international law. Hamas themselves is liable. So who's committing genocide? They're killing their own people. Yeah. Can someone try and, I know somebody still probably does this. I haven't tracked him in a while. But like any time someone blasphemes against God, he feels he has to answer for God. So it's a waste of time. Not going to listen anyway, most likely. You want to do it a little bit part of your day? Okay. I'll give you 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, maybe. You want to answer them. Okay, more than that. You can try. I think you got much better chance of, learning and keeping mitzvahs than doing that because they're not going to listen. You're going to show them the information. They're not going to listen. These people are screaming, from the river to the sea. They know anything about history? Read the Bible from cover to cover? I don't think so. They're just indoctrinated thugs. That's what they are. Right? No point to argue with them. 0 point to argue with them. Someone mentioned the Kodesh Baruch Hu means, right, the one that's sanctified. Kadosh is holy. Baruch means blessed, but it really means the source of all blessing. Who generally means he. Yeah, it does. But God is not male or female. Right? He's not male or female. Someone here mentioned that any occupied people have the right duty to fight off occupation. Right. But let me ask a question. How many nations in the history of man have ever given back land in a defensive war? Defensive war. Nobody. There has been a population exchange between Pakistan, right? Pakistan and India, in the 70s. Okay. But anyone who's ever, even, been part of a defensive war, not that they started, anyone gave land back? Right? That's what they're trying to do over here. It's never happened in history. Never happened. Yeah, because the people don't know anything about history and they don't care. That's the thing. You show them the facts. They don't care about the facts. Like, don't mix me up with the facts. That's insanity. It's amazing. So, it's like trying to speak to someone. It's like trying to speak to a brick. Okay, you want to speak to a brick, right? I'll give an example. I'll give one example. Imagine speak to a Christian mission, a missionary. Speak to a missionary. What happens when you answer their question? They don't have an answer. They go on to another question. Then they go on to another question because they don't have answers. That has happened to me once. So I said, I gave them 3 questions. They couldn't answer. I said, I want an answer. I'm pretty thick in the head. I said, give me an answer. So, is it worthwhile to argue with them? No. Why is it not worthwhile? Because you're not going to get anywhere. There's no point. You'll never get anywhere. For every answer that you have, they'll just come up with something else, another question. Right? Then you're not dealing with the subject at hand. So yeah, be a waste of time. Somebody asked, we hope, we see that Moses is a prototype of the Messiah in some ways. Okay. Yeah. Good deeds done by Jewish women generation. Okay. Could it be the same in generation of the Messiah? Would be based on the men of deeds, Jewish women mainly in that generation. So there are two ways. Two ways the Messiah can come. Either everyone repents. Everyone who repents, the Messiah can come in a good way. Nobody really has to die or any bloodshed. It's hard to imagine that according to what the prophets say. But, or God can put an evil king up like Haman, like Mr. Haman himself, who repent that way. And the Messiah comes that way. Okay, probably the first way is better. Now, the Gemara in Sanhedrin, the end of Sanhedrin says, how are we going to save ourselves from this, from the Messianic era, from the birth pains of the Messiah, what we call Chevlei Mashiach? Torah and Gimul's Chesed, i.e. learning Torah and acts of loving kindness. So I asked Stein Fisher, Zecher Tzadik Livrocha, his name be blessed, Rabbi Yisrael Yaakov Fisher, and I asked him this question. So he said, the Gemara says, Chesed and Torah. So I asked him again. I don't recommend doing this, but I asked him again, and I said, is there anything else? He said, what? You think I know more than the Gemara? You think I know more than the rabbis? He started screaming at me. That's it. Yeah, Torah and Chesed. Now, could there be tremendous acts of loving kindness, from women that saved us in the time of Purim, time of what do you call it? Coming out of Egypt? Sure. Is it going to be exactly? I don't know. Right? The Gemara also says it's either going to be a generation that is totally, either totally evil or totally good. We don't know how that's going to work out either. Right? A lot of unknowns here. Could it happen this way? Could. Through righteous women we get saved. Could be. Is that what's going to happen? Don't know. Someone asked, do we say the blessing when moving a mezuzah scroll from one case to another? No. Oh, wait, moving one case. Yeah, if you took it down, let's say you took it down, you put it back up, yeah, you have to make a blessing. You have to make a blessing when you put it back up. Even if you just moved it from one covering to another. Do we eat fish during dry Wochen? Yes, you can eat fish. Right? During these 2 weeks. During this 9 days. Right? Can't eat meat, you can eat fish. Fish you're allowed to eat. And let's say a person's lactose intolerant, can't eat meat product, you can't eat milk products, so you can eat chicken. Right? Really, the halacha is you could eat chicken also. But again, that's if you can't eat milk products. Plenty of things you can eat as parv. You can eat fish. You're going to say, well, I don't want to eat fish every day. Right? So it's better to get sick of eating fish than eat chicken? Yeah. Could a person technically eat chicken? They could. Right? But again, that's if you have, milk issues. Also, the verse said, prophet like Moses will arise. Okay. I was told if he's a prophet like Moses, it won't be greater. No one's going to be greater. Torah says in the book of Deuteronomy, right? There won't be a prophet greater than Moses. Right? Definitely could be a prophet. Right? He's going to be God's chosen one. So what's the problem? What's the problem? He's going to be a great warrior, great politician, great warrior. Have all the great character traits that he should have. Right? He's going to be greater than Moses? Nobody greater than Moses. He's not going to reach the 49th level of understanding. Right? He's not going to be greater than him. Definitely not going to be greater than him. Yeah, let me see. There are other questions here. They're much more happily living in USA than Israel. What does that say? It means they don't have a connection to the land of Israel. That's what it means. They're living the life of Riley. Everything's good, even if there's a lot of anti-Semitism. They'll say it's a lot easier to live here than to live in Israel. Yeah. So they're happy. Okay. They don't have a connection to the land. When I left America 15 years ago, the only people that were jealous of me leaving, I was living in an other Orthodox community. The only people that were jealous of people that actually lived in Israel. Other people said, come on, you're in 2 continents in 3 years. Why would you go back? And so I said, if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have left in the first place. But okay, God has his ways, right? God has his ways. So, at the end, even if they are in America, so what? Right? Plenty of Jews happy living in America. Yeah, but they have a gullus mentality. Yeah. They understand they're in exile, right? They have an exile mentality. Yeah. They should come to Israel. Why should they leave? Everything's good. Yeshivas, girls' schools, kashrus. I'm saying where they don't have an excuse not to leave. That, have to deal with their parents, elderly parents, or they got better livelihood there or whatever. But who's missing coming to Israel? That's what gullus is. That's exactly what exile is. You don't have a connection to the land. You don't have a connection. We're missing the Beis Hamikdash. They're missing the Beis Hamikdash. They're missing seeing God's presence. They're missing anything. They don't think they're missing anything. Some people have a true connection that live in the States, right? We'll pick on the States. Yeah, there are some people who have a very strong connection to the land of Israel. Always thinking about the land of Israel. Yeah, a lot of people get lulled into sleep because they live in very strong communities. Affluence can do that, no question. But you lulled to sleep because, you're not necessarily being persecuted. You can live like a Jew. People saying, yeah, I'm going to the beach, I'm doing this. They feel the pain here. Does anyone really feel the pain of what it's like not to have God's presence here in the world? Outside of Israel? Very easy to feel it here, right? Anyone really feel the pain? That's what we're missing in exile. That's what, and fortunately, this exile has been great for the Jewish people in different ways. Been disaster in other ways. I'm talking about religious people. People really miss the land. Really want to come live here. Really want to come when the Messiah comes, and they're going to come. Yeah, I didn't meet too many people like that. I'm not talking about they were anti-Zionists and all that. I'm not talking about that. A whole other issue. Anyone has a strong desire to come be here? Yeah, I'll wave my Israeli flag now. Yeah, anybody? I didn't find too many people. They're happy being where they are. They got everything there. If you got a good excuse and a reason, as the Gemara says, you got good reason why not to be there. Okay. You got good reason. 100%, you got good reason. Right? Livelihood, to get married, to learn better there. Okay. You got a valid reason. And if you don't have a valid reason, what's the excuse? It's too cold there. The Arabs, other thing. Saying you have to have a valid reason. A valid reason. Yeah. That, how could someone as great as Rabbi Akiva have been wrong about Bar Kokhba? Oh, good question. He thought he was really the one. He thought it was really the one. When did he realize he wasn't the one? When he died. One of the proofs, you can't die in the process. Right? In order to be the Messiah of David, you can't die. Before the temple's rebuilt. Right? Before we bring in the exiles, you can't die. Yeah. Someone asked, okay, how can you stop being angry at small inconveniences? Think of the bigger picture. Think of the bigger picture. A lot of things to get angry about, right? Small things, there are things that irritate us. Got to work on anger. Anger is equivalent to idolatry. Person gets angry, I mean, seriously angry? Like idolatry. If you're, the Gemara says if you were standing over the pit of hell, you wouldn't repent. That's how bad anger is. Right? There are certain bad character traits. We don't even say you should go the middle path like the Rambam. Yeah, anger is one of them. Gaiva is one of them. Being conceited. So, I would say that person's got to work on their emunah that everything happens for a reason. God's testing you right now. It's, minor thing. I think if you would see, I saw it today. I'll give an example. Every time thinks, a person's down and, this is annoying or that's annoying or other things that they're going through. I saw somebody, teenager. I don't know. No, it's actually probably older than a teenager. Whatever, blind and, walking with a stick. And whatever, was waiting by a bus stop. And whatever, he was walking and pretty much the middle of the street, someone, I don't know, whatever, it was very far away from where I was. And, a whole bunch of cars coming. So first car stopped. It's an amazing thing. First car stopped, not a religious person. Helped this blind person get on the sidewalk, told him where he was, and, and then someone else, helped him navigate. Pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Here you have a secular person, or look like a secular person, helping this blind person. Okay. You got eyes to see. You can go like this, and let's say it doesn't hurt, or it doesn't hurt as much. There are a million things to be thankful for. These things are petty. We get angry at stupid things. So lack of emunah. Why should a person get angry? You say it's annoying. Okay. In the bigger scheme of things, yeah, maybe it's not going to help some people. They'll say, that doesn't help me. That doesn't help me think of someone who's blind or someone who's mentally challenged or anything else. Okay. So it doesn't help you. Yeah, but, there's a much bigger picture here. These are minor things. Person can say, wow, look at the thing. It's a test. Life is a test. Every last thing is a test that we do. Either we pass it or we fail it. It's just a way for the evil inclination to dig inside of us. Then you just lose focus, right? The whole point in this world is stay focused, not get distracted. Very easy to get distracted in this world, right? God's gonna ask a person when he dies, after he dies, going to say, did you learn Torah? And did you, were you on to some business? All right. So the person says, well, I got distracted. Okay. God, it's your fault because you made a distracting world. So I didn't make a distracting world. Mankind made it distracting. I didn't tell you to get sucked into it. Yeah, but this, that. But you did to yourself. A lot of these things that we do to ourselves that are self-defeating, got to work on that. You want a 2-second answer? I'm not going to give you a 2-second answer, but I would say, get to the issue of what makes you angry about it. I know, certain people, they'll say they get angry at the smallest thing. Okay, you got to work on that. Why? You say it's annoying. Why is it annoying? Right? Get to the crux of what the problem is. What annoys you, then figure out what triggers it. And then after you figure out what triggers it, figure out how to deal with it. Right? That'll be my short answer. If you taste food while cooking and you said a blessing, and shortly after you eat, you didn't say the blessing again. No. Once you ate, you made a blessing, and a little while later you sit down to eat, you don't have to say another blessing. You would not need to say another blessing. That would be a blessing in vain, or a blessing I don't need. No, I'm allowed to pray in a room with books about idolatry. Yeah, that's not a problem. Can a no-eyed pray in a room where there is idolatry? Let's say got a guy hanging up on a stick, or show a fat guy or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, whatever idol's in front of you. Can you pray there? No. I would say non-Jew shouldn't pray there either. The Jew for sure shouldn't pray there. Right? Non-Jew shouldn't pray there either. Someone here once mentioned that they want to get rid of us, they must fear us in some sense. I don't know if they fear. They don't care about life. Life for them doesn't mean anything. I'd love to see this guy Hanil was killed, right? And see where he is now, and see what Allah is doing with the 70 virgins. Yeah, love to see that picture on his face. When he sees the truth. And he gets to the truth. So, listen, they know what the truth is. They know where the land of Israel belongs. They know what the truth is. But at the end of the day, there's an inbred hatred, just an absolute hatred for destruction. Destruction of Jewish people. It's not about fear. I don't think it's about fear. The Torah describes Ishmael as wild man. He's got his hand in everything, and everyone has a hand in him. Right? So that means he's got sticky fingers. Mainly he's a thief. That's what it sounds like. Right? But it means his life is ownerless. It means that his life has no meaning. He can give up his life at any time. Right? So I saw the explanation by the Netziv, a blessed memory of Naphtali Tzvi Berliner in Emek HaDavar. And that makes sense why, even according, to their beliefs or their crazy beliefs about, dying, killing Jews or infidels or whatever, whoever it may be, they think they're going to get all this reward. But, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They don't have any value. So how do they not have value for life? How in the world don't they have value for life? They say that is the value of life. But look at how the Torah describes it. We don't care about the Quran. False book, right? Any false book we don't care about. But what does the Torah say? Torah says he's got his hand in everyone. Everyone's got a hand in him. So it's like his life is ownerless. So he doesn't care. It's not about fear. Not about fear. Right? Even if we claim that they believe in one God, so most rabbinic authorities hold that Islam is monotheistic. Even if it's monotheistic, nonetheless, it's not about fear. I definitely don't think it's about fear. They have no value for life, none. And you see that also throughout history. You see all these clan fights and and different things. They have no value. They'll say it's an honor killing, it's this, it's that, but then dying by them is not such a big thing because they think what they're going to get later. So much propaganda against Judaism, right? That is true. It is a crazy thing, right? It definitely, it definitely is a crazy, it's a crazy thing that, I'm not going to answer crazy mentalities. It is what it is. Someone here says, one of them says, the Rambam believes Islam is not a voter czar, right? Because it was in a Muslim country. Rajash government said it is a voter czar. Okay, but I think mainstream halacha is it's not a voter czar. They don't believe that. They do believe one God, right? That's as far as I understand that. I've heard the argument that people say it is idolatry or certain aspects of it are, but we hold that a person had nowhere else to pray could go in a mosque and pray. A Jew could pray in a mosque. Why? It's not idolatry. Can't do that in the church, right? Wouldn't be allowed to do that in the church. So says, wasn't Sidmore and Chania following? Yeah, I don't know. Following one God, but it's obviously warped, totally warped. God's not telling just kill Jews, and murder babies and all that. Even they believe in one God. Either they believe in that one God, okay, but it's a skewed way of believing in him and quote unquote, following what he says. Someone here says he suggests that the Rambam is afraid of the Muslim rulers. Could be. They said, how the hell is idolatry? I don't know. I have to look into that. One second. Am I familiar with 7 Hermetic principles and our practical esoteric applications? No. Nope, not aware of that. Yeah, somebody says the Rambam never left Torah. You're right, but he lived in Egypt, right? He was stuck because he had to serve the king, right? So again, there's a question. It's not a outlandish question. There is a question whether Islam is idolatry or not. Yeah, I'm just saying, practical purposes, we hold it's not. We hold it's not. Are there other people that say it is? Yeah, I've heard other people make the argument. Okay, that's fine. There are people that hold Islam is idolatry. Fine. So they're not praying the same God. Okay. But we don't hold that way. We hold it's not idolatry. Right? Practically speaking. According to Allah, it's not, it's not that's Allah. That essentially is that it wasn't idolatry. Someone said, I've heard that Messiah could be a woman. I don't know. Got to come from the line of David, no question. Could it be a woman? I don't know. I'll have to hear what he said. Right? Rabbi Tat is a good source, no question. Question is what he meant. You mean it literally. I mean, normally we think it's going to be a man. That's the assumption. But could it be a woman? I guess in theory, I don't know. Don't know. I have to hear what he said. If a convert converts, gets married, he has a surname Ben Avram. Again, you asked me this question. You already asked me this question. You're not going to change your name to Ben Avram. If you want to, you can't. You don't have to. If you're called to the Torah, you'll be known as Ben Avram. Yeah. And what's the wife going to be? She'll be Bas Avram. But that's not her surname. That's not a surname. It's just the son of Abraham or the daughter of Abraham. That's all it is. Right? And the only time you're ever going to use it is if you call it to the Torah. Right? You want to change your surname to Ben Avram? You could. No one's saying you can't. But you don't have to. Certainly don't have to. And most people don't. I don't know anybody who does. Right? They might change the name of their last name. Okay, you could do that. Make it sound more Jewish, but surname's not going to change over here. That's not going to change. Is it okay to wear a customized kippah like with your name on it? Yeah, you can. No one, no one says you can't. Right? You just have to have a head covering. But most people, the other Orthodox community, wear kippah like I have, is black, with like a rim around it or not. Not necessarily with I don't know anyone who's got their name on it, but if a person wanted to, they could. They could in theory, right? But most people don't. Again, wearing something covers your head is going to identify what community you want to identify with, right? A knitted kippah, let's say, will be someone wants to identify with the modern Orthodox community or the religious Zionist community. In a black or let's say black velvet, will be someone in the ultra Orthodox community, just who you identify with, right? That's, same thing with dress. How a person's going to dress, what community you're going to identify with. Know how to pray while wearing a backpack. Sure, why not? I would say it's probably better not to, right? But you could. You could. Why do I say it's better? It's better not to. So you're standing in front of God. Imagine if you went to see a head of state and, you're wearing a backpack. You're seeing an important person. Would you be carrying a backpack? Probably not. Again, is it forbidden? I wouldn't say it's forbidden, but probably not such a lack. It's I would say it's probably lack of respect, right? If you did, you could do it though. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's probably lack of respect. Zohar rewarded for killing himself rather than committing idolatry. No. Let me say better. There's no mitzvah for a non-Jew to give up their life rather bow down to idolatry, right? There are 3 cardinal sins every Jew has to give up their life for, anytime, any place. One is murder, one is idolatry, one of them is immorality. So if a person put a gun to your head and said, for a Jew, person put a gun to your head and said, Jew or non-Jew, anytime, any place, bow down to this guy in the stick or I'm going to blow your head off, right? In reference to JC or a short little fat guy, right? Bow down to fatso over here. They don't call him fatso, but it's a big mitzvah to make fun of idolatry, right? So the question is, your obligation is you have to die. 100% you have to die. Does that apply to a non-Jew? No. A non-Jew does not have the obligation to die, right? There's no sanctification by God's name by a non-Jew. Now, if they decide they don't want to bow down to the idol, right? Because that's idolatry for them, right? They don't want to bow down, but they're under onus over here. So they decide to bow down. They don't transgress the prohibition of bowing down, sanctifying God's name. They don't have to. They don't have that obligation. Now, are they rewarded? Yeah, they'll get rewarded for it, but they don't have an obligation to do it. How do you write Shabbos candles? Right? You write, how many do you write? One. You want to light Shabbos candles, you light one. You missed, let's say, next week, if you were Jewish, doesn't apply if you're not Jewish, but if you were Jewish, let's say for whatever reason you mix next week for lighting, you have to light an extra one. It's a penalty. How do you do Havdalah, right? So you take spices, you take a candle, you light a candle, you have spices, and you say the prayers for Havdalah, which are in any prayer book. The Noahites have a possibility to avoid being buried in a Christian cemetery. They could. There are places that they could be buried in a non-sectarian. There are cemeteries that are non-sectarian. So a Noahide should be buried in a non-sectarian place if they don't want to be buried in a Christian place. Can't be buried in a Jewish place, but they wouldn't be buried in a Jewish place, but if they don't want to be buried in a Christian place, they can be buried someplace not buried in a Jewish cemetery. Yeah, sorry, you can be buried in a non-sectarian place. Does a little child become Jewish once its mother converts? Depends what age. Depends what age. If they are under the age of bar mitzvah, they will become Jewish. If it's good for them to convert, they will become Jewish unless, and then at the time of bar mitzvah, 12 or 13, the Beis will ask them. Beis will ask them if they want to be Jewish or not. They want to continue to be Jewish. But they will convert. Someone asks, do I wear tchelis? No. Why not? Why not? Because something we don't have this is what my Rabbi said many times. Since we don't have a tradition on it, we don't do it. Some people say they do have the traditions come back, this and that. Okay. Yeah. I've heard the argument, but my Rabbi would say you don't do anything unless you have clear-cut tradition. So he would say this is not a clear-cut tradition, and we don't do it. Could you name your son Yeshua? No, I wouldn't think so. Yehoshua you could, but Yeshua I would think not. I would think not because of JC. Person want to call his son Yehoshua, not a problem. Now a number of people with that name, Yeshua, no. Even though Yeshua means salvation. They wouldn't, they would say no because of the reference to JC. Is it a mitzvah to make fun of idolatry? Yes, it is. Big mitzvah to make fun of idolatry. Can a Noahide make fun of the heel of Esav? I don't know what the heel of Esav is, but can you make fun of good Uncle Esav? Yeah. Yeah. He also, transgressed idolatry. Make fun of him. Why not? Big mitzvah to make fun of idolatry. Yaakov bowed days 7 times. Yeah, I paid a price. That's not idolatry. That's not idolatry. Right? Paid a price, though. They definitely paid a price. Because of that, he had all these princes come out of him. Yeah, it wasn't the right thing to do. No question, but it wasn't idolatry. Someone asked, where do I get courses, formal curriculum online, in person for the Hebrew Bible and Talmud? Do I have a confrontation for that consultation? Depends what you want. You have to go to if you go to a basin, they may give you a formal curriculum. But again, contact me via email. I put it up there, rabbichaimcoffin@gmail.com, right? And set up time to speak if you want. How can you determine what applies to Jews and what applies to Noahides? You got to go to someone who knows, right? I gave a course for 1.5 years on that, on what laws are for Noahide. So yeah, you have to go to somebody who knows what they're talking about, right? That's really the bottom line. Does understanding come with spending time learning? A non-Jew is not going to help them. No, you have to learn under someone who knows the law. You have to learn under a Jew who knows the law, right? Not there. I gave a course that taught non-Jews what the laws are and how to properly know what the laws are so they can teach others. Right? But you got to learn what the laws are. Not you say, oh, 7 laws. They're a lot more complicated than you think. More than 50 or 60 in there. You don't follow the written Torah. Of course I do. Right? Question is, do you believe in oral law or not? So I believe in oral law. Right? So it's a difference of opinion. I would agree. Not wearing techelis. Okay. Yeah. So Torah says you got to wear techelis. Do we know? Can you say 100%? 100% this is the techelis that Torah talked about? 100%. No doubts. Well, people have been wrong. Certainly the Regina Rov, his techelis, they disagreed with. Right? So it's not foolproof. They may say they have all the proofs. Right? So I have my Rabbi this question, even let's say it's not the right thing. Let's say that the techelis that people wear today is not the right thing. Okay. If you wear it, is there a punishment for it? No. There's no punishment for it. It's not called kla ilon. It's not a punishment. You could wear techelis. Okay. So that you don't lose anything, right? At the worst, okay, you put on a bootstring, didn't do anything, didn't nullify tzitzis. Good. On the other hand, you can tell me I get the mitzvah wearing techelis every day. Torah obligation. Very good. What's the only problem? You don't lose anything, right? So what's the only problem? The only problem is we don't have a tradition on it. You don't start doing things you don't have a tradition on. That's his argument. It's not a question, oh, you follow the Torah, you don't follow the Torah. Follow the Torah. Follow what the rabbis tell me, right? Right? So my rabbi said you don't do anything you don't have a tradition on. You want to argue with him? He's the top rabbi in the world today. You can argue with him. Other people who say we have the tradition, that doesn't apply. Okay. I'm telling you what he says. Yeah. You don't have a tradition, you don't do it. It's not a question you don't listen to Torah. What do you think we do? I put on tefillin, right? Does the Torah tell me what tefillin is? Do you know what totafot are? Totafot's not even a Hebrew word, right? It comes from a Coptic language, African language. Rashi says. Go look up the verses on totafot. Yeah. So how do we know what tefillin looks like? And how black they're supposed to be? Oh, the alah Moshe Sinai. Very good. Comes from Moses and Mount Sinai. Do it. So there's thousands and thousands of laws of tefillin. Would you like to tell me what the laws according to the Torah are? There aren't any. There are no laws. The Torah says put frontlets between your eyes. You want to define what a frontlet is? You want to tell me what it means to put it on your arms? Oh, tefillin, very good. Karaites also wear tefillin. Where do they get tefillin from? They'll say they have their own laws. Oh, very good. But why do they wear tefillin? It's rabbinical. All the laws are rabbinical. You can say it's alah Moshe Sinai. Very good. It comes from Sinai. But where do all the laws come from? And the fact that it has to be all black and the straps have to be black and where the parchment goes and how they go in and all that. Where does it all come from? That come from the Torah? It comes from the rabbis. Right? It's rabbinic Judaism. Is it a fatherless child after conversion? Not sure what that means. No. After conversion, even the parents convert together, technically, even the family converts together. But technically, the parents are not really related to the child. They are biologically, right? But technically, they're not really related. Right? So it's not doesn't mean they're fatherless, they're motherless also. Right? Even if they convert. Let's say the whole family convert. Right? Mother, father, children under the age, young children. So they convert. And then they decide they want to be Jewish, at the age of bar mitzvah. Very good. Are they related to the parents technically? No. Spiritually, they're not related. Physically, they're related, okay, but spiritually, they're not. So yeah, it's like their father with the mothers, but that doesn't really have any practical ramifications, right? For the most part, it doesn't have any practical ramifications. Is it forbidden for non-Jew or JIT to wear a kippah? No. Some people would say you should only do it right before conversion. If someone wants to practice doing it, they can. It's not a problem. Tefillin is a problem. Tefillin definitely a problem. They want to wear tzitzis, they could. They want to wear a talus, prayer shawl, they could. Right? Tefillin's more of a problem. Phylacteries, whatever you want to call it. right? Tefillin would be more of a problem. I mean, I shouldn't say more of a problem. It is a problem, right? So that would be forbidden. Someone says, if you named him Yeshua, right? Everyone make fun of him if you name JC, right? Yeah, it would be kind of strange to name that. That I would agree. that I would agree. Person has a mind to do something. It's locked into a commitment in his mind without verbalizing. It's considered a vow. Depends what it is. Usually would say words of my heart don't mean anything. But a person, good question, a person made a vow in their mind. If a person had intention, let's say, they said they were going to give charity. They're going to give a certain amount to charity. Yeah, they have an obligation. Seemingly they have an obligation. They would seem to have an obligation, right? When it comes to charity. Could be other things, maybe not. But charity, I think they would have an obligation. What if a Noahide makes the vow to Hashem that he would keep all the laws of the Torah? Is he obligated to convert? Nope. Still not obligated to convert. He doesn't need, what do you call it? What's it called in English? He doesn't need to undo the vow. Even if he made a verbal vow, which would be worse, right? Let's say he made a vow, right? You see, non-Jews can make vows. So let's say he made a vow. Yeah, he can get out of the vow because not everyone's made to convert. You don't have an obligation, right? You don't have an obligation for them. What are the three things not to do? Idolatry, immorality, and murder. Right? You can't murder someone. Someone put a gun to you and say murder this person or we'll kill you, then you have to die. What if a single mother converts and her child with her? What's the relationship between the child and the man who inseminated her? There is no relationship. Spiritually, there's no relationship. Physically, still the father. Yeah, again, spiritually, there's no connection. But again, that should be obvious because, if his parents, biological parents, they convert and spiritually doesn't really have a connection after they convert. So even a non-Jew that didn't convert still won't have a connection to them, right? Then all the more so he wouldn't have a connection to them. What if a person says, mine, I'm going to learn after work, but after work, Yitzhak got him. Okay, so let's say better. Let's say a little bit different. The Gemara says, the person says, I'm going to put on tefillin today. They make a vow. They say, I'm going to put on tefillin today. Yeah, so Gemara says, how can you make such a vow? How can you make such an obligation? You're already obligated. Mushpavim Bahar Sinai. It's already, you were sworn at Mount Sinai to put on tefillin. Very good. So what's the question? Right? The Gemara says, what's the question? I don't get it. You already have an obligation. You already have an obligation to put on tefillin. You have an obligation to learn Torah. Yeah? So you have an obligation to learn Torah. So a person makes a vow for a guy. I'm going to learn Torah today. Right? Person says, I'm going to learn Torah. Very good. You don't learn Torah. Right? Let's say the whole day you didn't learn Torah. Sundown, you didn't learn Torah. But why'd he say it? You're already obligated to learn Torah. Is that considered a vow? Right? So simple answer is, Gemara says, one answer is, it's like you're fastidious to do the mitzvah. It's like you're psyching yourself up to do the mitzvah. Since you're psyching yourself up to do the mitzvah, it's not really a vow. Because how can it be a vow? You're already obligated. The same thing. Right? If a person said, if a person, they didn't say bli neder, they didn't say without a vow. They said they're going to go learn. They don't learn. Right? Is that a vow? No. If they say they're going to do this and they didn't do it, and they didn't say without a vow, now, the person's got to be careful. Because if a person says they're going to do something, it might sound like it's a vow. That's why a lot of people say, I'm going to do this, bli neder, right? Sounds kind of funny, though, right? I'm going to do this without a vow. Well, then why'd you say it? Because you have intention to do it, but if you didn't do it, right? If you didn't do it, but you had an obligation to do it, you don't sin over it because you say you're going to psych yourself up to do it, right? But if you made a vow, even if you made a vow, but if you did make a vow, you most likely need to undo the vow. If you didn't say bli neder, right? In other words, if you said it with a vow, good. Then it's worse. If you didn't say it with a vow, you said you didn't do it, okay. Right? That'd be a different issue. Be a much different issue. Right? Because there you're psyching yourself up to do it. It's not like, you actually made a vow. But you gotta be careful though. That you gotta be careful. Someone says that Dr. Wallach says birth defects are due to vitamin and mineral deficiency. Yeah, both spiritual and physical reasons. I don't know. All birth defects? I mean, I'm not a doctor. I didn't play one on TV, but there are birth defects that people have because of genetics. You want to say all of genetics are based on lack of, deficiency of vitamins and minerals? I don't know. You have to check out each individual, but you definitely have genetic diseases that I don't think have anything to do with that. That shouldn't have anything to do with that. That's not the same thing as physical and spiritual ramifications. On that's a totally different thing. My Messianic, nope. I mean, I believe the Messiah is going to come, right? Definitely believe the Messiah is going to come, but he hasn't come yet, right? Someone asked, what's the course? Yeah, the course on Noahides was at noahidenations.com. That was the course I did. Follow the written law. Schei was only Jewish diet. Again, I answered that. Not gonna, if we don't, if we don't have a true Masorah, true tradition, we don't do it. So that's pretty clear. Not a question of hold to the Torah or not. You don't have a tradition. This has only come up in the last 100 years. Give or take. It's only been in the last 100 years. So anyone before that, now that we have it, quote unquote, now you want to say that, I don't follow the Torah. Okay, you can make that claim. It's not true. It's not true. Not and most people don't hold of it. You want to tell me all Orthodox Jews don't wear tchelos are not Jewish? They're not keeping Torah? That's a hard thing to say. Right? But it's not clear. Even if they bring all their proofs, there are other proofs on the other side that say it's not true. See, so you got disparaging opinions on both sides. You got one opinion that says it's good. They got all these proofs. You got other opinions that say no. So if I got other opinions that say no, you're gonna say not Jewish. They say don't keep Torah. They disagree. It's not clear, right? Then the proofs aren't good. So if the proofs aren't good, then you don't do it. Right? That's the mentality. You want to call it a lazy answer? All right. I wouldn't go that far, but you don't do things. You don't do things if we don't have a clear-cut tradition. Tradition is a pretty important thing. It's not something to say, you don't do it, whatever. That's a pretty important thing. And according to this, we don't have a clear-cut tradition because there's a major difference of opinion. And you see, by fact, most people don't wear it. Even if there are more people starting to wear it today, okay, most people don't wear it. So most people don't wear it. What does that tell you? Either not keeping Torah according to you, maybe, right? Or they don't hold of it. So if they don't hold of it, their choice, right? It's their choice, but majority opinion is that it's not the real thing. According to all, the great rabbis of the generation, they don't hold of it. You want to argue with the great rabbis of the generation? They're not keeping Torah? All right. Can argue then. Okay, King David didn't follow Torah over there. Good. All right. A convert can't wear a towel unless he's married. They could. I would say they could. They wanted to wear a towel, they could. All right, even before they're married. Now, others might disagree, but I think a towel is all right. Tefillin is a problem before you convert, for sure. Right? What do you call it? A towel is less of an issue. I would say, yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel Time. Anyone has any questions, feel free. You can find me on Facebook at Mike Chaim Kaufman. Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, or Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Torah Portion of the Week, Q&As, Ethics for Our Fathers. Or send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. We're sending good.